from the red zone, 3rd and 8. Lawrence hits. Myles Garrett does it again.
On one blocking. You're going to see him down the bottom. He comes and just knocks that ball away.
Myles Garrett solidified his reign as the NFL's premier defensive force last season, building on his 2023 Defensive Player of the Year crown. For the Cleveland Browns, number 95 is more than just a star. He's the engine of their defense and one of the most disruptive forces in the game. And in today's NFL, where the ability to get to the quarterback is arguably the most valuable skill, Myles Garrett has mastered the art of the sack. So today, let's walk you through his greatness and how he blends a rare mix of speed, strength, and technique. It's only right we begin with Myles Garrett's speed. At 6'4" and 272 pounds, he sure moves like someone who's 40 pounds lighter. And there's really not a better moment to capture this than his sack against Dak Prescott in 2022. While most sacks take more than 3 seconds to develop, Myles clocked Prescott within 2.57 seconds, setting an NFL record. But this is just the kind of thing that this freak of nature can do.
Quite a few times this game.
Up on the rookie that time, who beats him, blows out, and it is recovered by Dallas. Myles Garrett punched it out on your cue, but Dallas recovered.
It's a big man he's going against, and Tyler Guyton, but just too much power. He's got a great burst off the line of scrimmage. Just whips through.
One of his plays that shows just how fast he is happened in Week 1 of the 2023 season against the Bengals. Garrett lined up wide on Orlando Brown Jr., and as soon as the ball was snapped, he exploded off the edge, covering 5 yards in an instant. Brown couldn't get his hands up fast enough. Garrett dipped low, slid past him, and was in Joe Burrow's face before the play could even develop. Burrow rushed to throw and missed his target. No sack on the stat sheet, but the play was dead because of Garrett's pressure. And that's the pattern with Garrett. He covers long miles quickly. Last season against the Chargers, too, was more the same. Facing Rashawn Slater, one of the best tackles in the league, Garrett exploded off the snap and beat him around the corner in just over 2.5 seconds. Poor Justin Herbert barely had time to look downfield before Garrett wrapped him up. It was one of 3 sacks for Garrett that day, part of a game that completely unraveled the Chargers' offense. What makes Garrett's speed so dangerous is how well he controls it. He doesn't just fly off the edge blindly. He stays balanced, uses perfect angles, and knows how to dip under blocks without losing momentum. That combination of speed and control led to 14 more sacks in 2024, along with a league-high 22 tackles for loss and 84 quarterback pressures. But speed isn't everything with Myles. There's also that monstrous power move. When speed isn't enough, Myles Garrett simply turns to raw power. And at 6'4" and 272 pounds, Garrett has the kind of build that looks sculpted for chaos. But his success isn't just about being strong, it's about how he uses that strength. In 2023 against the Titans in Week 3, Garrett was lined up across from Andre Dillard. On the snap, he came out low and fast, converting his speed into pure force. And that's what he took to get both hands into Dillard's chest, driving him backward like he was being wheeled on skates. Dillard couldn't recover, and in just a few seconds, he was pushed straight into Ryan Tannehill's lap. The quarterback had no choice but to unload the ball early. The play was blown up, the timing was destroyed, and Garrett's power had shut it down before it started. For someone as big as he is, Garrett has figured out how to combine leverage with explosion, and he uses it to disrupt every part of an offense's rhythm. I mean, how many people have you seen throwing Trent Williams like this? The entire game was crazy, by the way. But fast forward to 2024 in Week 12 against the Steelers, and Garrett just can't seem to stop bullying people on the field. It's 3rd and long with Garrett lined up against Broderick Jones. Jones tries to prepare for Garrett's outside speed, so he sets a bit wider. But that's exactly what Garrett wants. He gets off the ball with a quick burst, then drops his pads and drives through Jones with pure power. In just a couple of seconds, he pushes him back nearly 3 yards, completely collapsing the pocket. Russell Wilson tries to step up, but Garrett is already there. It's a clean sack, one of 3 he had that day. And it comes at a critical moment in a tight game. The Browns go on to win 24-19, and Garrett is named AFC Defensive Player of the Week. What makes his bull rush so hard to stop is how it keeps blockers guessing. If they brace for speed, he uses power.
Matchup all night. Dan Moore
before is isolated one-on-one. He got a little bit of a chip initially, but not much to slow down Myles.
If they expect power, he can hit them with finesse. His ability to switch between those approaches in an instant makes him nearly impossible to scheme against. And because he's so consistent with his technique, even the best offensive lines can't hold up against him for an entire game. But the reason this is even possible is because of how he's mastered controlling his body. Myles Garrett's go-to move is the dip and rip, which is a rare blend of agility and power that very few players can pull off. In a 2023 Week 7 game against the Colts, Garrett lined up in the B gap eyeing the tackle. The moment the ball snapped, he shutter stepped, baiting the lineman into lunging early. That hesitation forced the blocker off balance, and Garrett dipped low, bending like reeds as he ripped through with his right arm. He wrapped up Zach Moss before he even got past the line. It was a clinic in control. Garrett stayed low, pivoted his feet sharply, and his long arms kept defenders at bay. That day he recorded 2 sacks, forced 2 fumbles, and finished with 9 tackles. He didn't just beat one block, he wrecked the entire play. And that was the same thing he did in Week 16 of 2024 against the Bengals. Lined up wide against Orlando Brown Jr., he stutter-stepped, this time feigning outside pressure to draw Brown's hands. And once the tackle overcommitted, Garrett planted his left foot, dipped under his opponent, and ripped through with his arms, spinning Brown aside. In an instant, he was on Joe Burrow, knocking the ball loose before the pass release. Another dead play, another illustration of his mastery. That season, he led the league in tackles for loss and finished with 14 sacks despite being double-teamed on nearly a third of his pass rush snaps. You see, Garrett's ability to freeze defenders, shift his center of gravity, and slice through blocks transforms every snap into a potential playmaker. Across 2023-24, he racked up 28 sacks, 44 tackles for loss, and 148 quarterback pressures. That earned him 5 Pro Bowls, 4 first-team All-Pro selections, and Defensive Player of the Year. Can you imagine how much mastery of your weight you need to be able to pull this off? And for those who thought it was a mistake or luck, he did it again against the Eagles.
It's blocked. Blocked by Myles Garrett. Wow.
But how can we even talk about Myles Garrett's mastery of the sack without mentioning his spin move? Watching Myles Garrett spin inside is like watching a master chess player make a decisive move, one where his athleticism, flexibility, and technique all converge into something unstoppable. In Week 5 of 2023 against the Ravens, he was faced with Patrick Mekari. At the snap, he initially rushed outside, forcing Mekari to kick out. But at the perfect moment, Garrett planted his left foot and spun inside. Of course, Mekari reached, stumbled, and Garrett sprang past him. Lamar Jackson had nowhere to go. Garrett buried him into the turf for a sack. It was elegant, yet violent. These are the kinds of moves that make you wonder why he's not always double-teamed. Like in Week 17 against the Dolphins last season, Garrett again lined up in a 9-tech formation facing Austin Jackson. He faked outside pressure, causing Jackson to overextend, then spun inside so fast it looked effortless. Tyler Huntley tried to release a pass early, but Garrett was already there. Game over, drive killed, Dolphins left scrambling. You see things like these and realize that Myles Garrett really is a master of his art. And speaking of art, do you know that he loved poetry and preferred the art to football?
That poetry and athletics were 2 different things, that you either do one or the other and they don't really mix.
It was just like, I played the game and I was good at it, but there was something missing. It was kind of that passion for the game. So it was kind of hard to, put those 2 things together for a while too.
Now, it's clear that he's finally found a way to put the 2 together. If you don't believe me, here he is in training camp for next season.
That's it!
One can only imagine what would have become of the Browns if they'd let him go. But now they have another season to look forward to with a master on their roster. Myles Garrett is a freak of nature, with top 0.01 genetics, with the work ethic to go along with it. At this point in his career, he's mastered every tool an edge rusher could want, from speed, power, finesse, control. But as it stands now, his Defensive Player of the Year award is not enough for a talent of his stature. So he's still chasing that ultimate prize which would change the debate of who's better between him and TJ Watt. But who do you think is better between these 2 superstars? And while we're on TJ, you should watch our video on TJ Watt's most savage sack moments next.